And now, from Candlestick Point in San Francisco, California, it's the Stick 49er Podcast Show with your hosts, Lucas McLaughlin and Lucas Ortiz. This is a Lucas and Lucas production. This podcast is brought to you in part by Super Tenna. Get yours today. This is an unofficial 49ers podcast and is in no way directly affiliated with the San Francisco 49ers team nor the National Football League.
Well, Niner fans, injuries. The 49ers drop an important divisional game on the road in Seattle. The final score, the 49ers 27, the Seahawks 37. And the 49ers drop to 4-4 while Seattle climbs to 6-1. Very depressing loss for a number of reasons. We have a lot to talk about. In a nutshell, the Niners have had over 25 players hurt this year. And I'm joined by my partner in crime and good friend, Lucas Ortiz now. Lucas, you there?
Hey, Lucas, I'm here. We've been better, but I'm here, man.
I don't think I've ever sent you so many text messages during a 49er game before. I would have been in dire straits.
Right. Even an emergency phone call just to make sure that call was going to be overturned when Hasty fumbled the ball out of bounds. Yeah. And the Seahawks player, it looked like he recovered it, but he recovered it while his body was still out of bounds. So got that emergency phone call from you too.
Yeah, Reno was like, I think it's Seattle. And I'm like, no. He was touching the ball, but he didn't have possession. I would have called Lucas.
Yeah, but kind of was the beginning of the end, wasn't it?
Yep. I mean, things have gotten worse. You want to think they'll go 12-4, but now they've dealt Quan Alexander to the Saints. And what did they get for that, Lucas?
I believe they received Kiko Alonso, who has not played this year, and a conditional 5th-round pick.
And in general, the move doesn't really show confidence in your team this year, right? I mean, let's just be honest.
Well, I think it tells you that they have more confidence right now in Dre Greenlaw and Azeez Al-Shaair, more so than Quan was showing so far this year. I mean, he's missed the bulk of it, and when he has been in, he's missed a lot of tackles, taken bad angles, overrun plays, and I think they were just looking to save a little money this year, but save a lot of money next year, more importantly.
Yeah. And looking at this game, the first half had some encouraging things that happened. The defense actually looked pretty good. Outside of the Niners' first scoring drive, though, we just couldn't put anything together on offense. And, Debo was out. Coleman came back, but hurt the knee again. And, you start to wonder if guys are coming back too early. Later, Kittle got hurt, and Warner was down. My heart almost dropped. That was really scary. It was good to see that he was up, and we'll have to get more information about if, that injury. Do you have any other info on that?
No, the latest I've heard is that he can possibly be out a game, 2 games, 3 games. Who knows? It's just they say he's going to be out for a bit, him and Garoppolo. So we just have to kind of wait and see, get the actual diagnosis of the injury. But it doesn't look good. It looks like we're going to be without him. But a little bit of good news, it looks like Jordan Reed might be possibly playing this Thursday against the Packers. So
nice.
You lose one, you gain one. Of course, you'd rather have Kittle. He's the best player at his position, but Jordan Reed is a nice consolation.
Yeah. You start to wonder if guys come back too early. I mean, it's obviously not anyone's fault. They obviously think they can do it, and they get cleared, and they come back. Like Jimmy G coming back, if you look back at the Miami game, he probably shouldn't have been in there, obviously. And now you've got basically we've played 8 games, and 50% of those games, the starting quarterback has not finished the game. I mean, one of those was Mullens when he just had an awful game. But, man, it's been tough. This has been a completely different type of 49er season. And they haven't looked the same on offense. There's always guys missing. And, every piece to the puzzle that was there last year it's just not happening.
Yeah, but here's the thing about football. Football is one of the few sports where injuries are 100% certainty, right? So every team has their list of injured guys. You know, nobody's immune to the injury bug. You have to play through it sometimes. And if you can't, the next guy has to step up and he's got to do the same. So, you know, no team is going to feel sorry for us. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, they had this guy out and, you know, all these injuries on the defensive side of the ball. You know, every team has the same issues going forward. So
yeah,
you really do have to just play through it and gut out and have that next man up mentality like we did last week. Unfortunately, we weren't able to overcome having guys like Debo out and having obviously Nick Bosa, no pass rush, D Ford being not out there. I mean, those are really key guys to our team, and we just weren't able to make up for it this week. Although we were able to make up for it last week against the Pats.
Yeah, and just to give the viewers an idea, so last year our Super Bowl run, we used 66 players the whole season. Well, we're in week 8.
What are we up to, 100?
And we're up to 71.
Okay,
in
so
week
it's
8.
not 100?
Yeah.
It feels like 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another little nugget here. So the Niners couldn't even bring up Kevin White to be on the active roster this week because they didn't have enough room on their salary cap. I think we have something like $100,000 left in our salary cap room. And in order to bring Kevin White up to the active roster, we would have had to have cut or trade somebody prior to the game, which just, you know, didn't happen, obviously.
That might explain more
so
of the
instead,
Quan, right? The Quan move.
So instead, we had to play Dante Pettis, and we all know what happened with Dante Pettis.
Man. It's just heart-wrenching. Why
Yeah.
is he on the field and then he fumbled and you're like, dude, oh my God, what the hell?
I think I texted some friends. Is it possible to just cut him in the middle of the game and tell him to find his way home?
I got that one, yeah.
Or better yet, just stay in Seattle where he's originally from. I think he grew up.
I think most
grew
of
up
your
somewhere in the
responses
Seattle
were,
area.
Yes. Cut him now.
Cut him now. Like hand in your pads, hand in your cleats, and
take the jersey off.
Go get
buddy.
a drink of water. Go have some Gatorade in the stands. Like, we don't need you on our team anymore.
Man.
But it is what it is. We still had our chances after that fumble, but the defense didn't have any. I don't know. They just didn't have that tenacity or that energy anymore. It was just a very deflating play when he fumbled that ball on the kickoff.
Yeah.
And it's one that we didn't recover from.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I don't know what was up with this. You know, we finally started to get a little bit of momentum on offense. And then Shanahan's call is to do the Wildcat with McKinnon at quarterback. Dude, it's a 3rd and 5. We just need to convert that. Do that on 2nd down or something. I thought that was a strange play at the time because it really did kill our momentum and it boosted Seattle's defense. You know, they were not fooled, and that kind of gave them the energy to just they started tearing into us. And man, I didn't look like they made any adjustments at halftime. I don't know what happened, but you know, then the injury to Jimmy G obviously didn't help. And I don't think he's been right this whole entire time. You know, I mean, he really hasn't. I mean, even when he looks good, there's something going on. He's not pushing off that leg the way he should. What do you think, Lucas?
Yeah, his ankle is definitely not fully healed, and it's really evident when you see him throw the ball. He tends to lift his back foot off the ground when he throws the ball. It's a very obvious overcompensation for the injury. Yeah. And I think it was even called out by one of the announcers calling the game on Sunday. He's just not getting push on the ball, and it's affecting the spiral, the tightness of the spiral. It looked like a lot of his balls were floating and kind of wobbly. So it's definitely something that has carried over into his accuracy. And I think the best thing for him right now is just to get fully healed. If it takes 3 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever, don't put him back on the field until he's fully recovered and has the confidence to push off that back foot. Otherwise, we're going to see a lot of the same. We're going to see a lot of inconsistency. He might have one good game. He might have 2 good games, but he's not going to be the consistent quarterback that he was for us last year until he's fully healed.
Yeah, Jimmy finishes with 84 yards, and he went 11 for 16, which isn't horrible, but, you know, he was just not right. And just like you just said, I mean, who knows what would have happened if we had held him out until he was definitely 100%. You know, I mean, we might be in a better position. I mean, it's tough to make that kind of speculation. But, Nick Mullens came in and we kept going. Nobody gave up. And, it was nice to see. And, in the back of your mind, you started to think, are they climbing back into this thing? I mean,
right. Of course, of course, nothing's easy in the NFL, but we got to factor in that it was a softer coverage. They had a big lead. They were giving us a lot of shorter passes underneath, and it kind of looked like they called off the dogs a little bit. They weren't blitzing quite as much.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see Mullens come in and get some positive yardage and some touchdowns and make it somewhat respectable. But it's going to be a big difference if he's a starter next week against the Packers and has to see the full brunt of the defense that the Packers are going to throw at him.
Yeah.
In a start to finish game. I'd be very interested to see, how he's going to look against that type of defense as opposed to coming in and being down 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. When the Seahawks are in the prevent defense and, Bobby Wagner's not looking like rookie year, killing Jimmy G on every play. Yeah. They really did have a good game plan and we effectively boosted up their defense. Obviously they've given up a ton of yards going into this game. But, they're a good team. And they showed it on Sunday. And unfortunately, the Niners, we just fell short. And, it didn't help that Pettis put on a uniform and fumbled. And
it didn't. Wouldn't you rather have DK Metcalf? Wouldn't you rather have DK Metcalf on your team? I mean, we got to talk about that guy for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on DK Metcalf in the game that he put up against us?
He was basically uncoverable. I mean, I thought, Mosley did a great job, but it's a tough guy to cover. He finishes with a monster 12 catches for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wilson definitely had a nice couple of deep balls. There was one that Mosley actually batted away, which towards the end of the game, that was a great play. That was like I was saying, it's great to see that guys like that weren't giving up. But man, that's a pretty tough challenge to cover someone like Metcalf.
Yeah, Mosley had a rough game, but you got to give
they were picking on him.
You got to give all the credit to DK and Russell. Russell threw a perfect pass to him on that first deep ball. I mean, you couldn't have put in a better spot. Yep. Mosley had pretty good coverage. And if you look at right before the ball gets there to DK, he kind of gives him a little push off that maybe could have been called, but it was subtle, and it's probably one that doesn't get called in most instances. So he was able to get separation right at the end, but he was very coy about it, and it turned into a big yardage play for them. And there was a lot of other little quick slants where it looked like Mosley was right on him, but when you put the ball right where it needs to be, a good offense will beat a good defense in most instances, especially when you're getting the ball out, in under 2 seconds. Doesn't give the pass rush enough time to get there or enough time to get their hands up to bat the ball. So, you really got to just credit the team, credit the Seahawks team for playing a really good game, no turnovers, very efficient, not a lot of penalties on their side. And, they whooped on us. They beat us fair and square. I can't say anything on our end that can defend how we played against their defense. They just beat us up.
Yeah. It was also depressing to see ex-Niners on that interception that
DJ Reed and Nick Ballore.
Exactly.
The ex-Niners.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
I think Ballore was in on that fumble with Pettis, and then DJ Reed, obviously, with that pass was behind Kittle. It was a bad throw. But, man, just seeing an ex-Niner catch that, just like, oh, Jesus. At that point, I was blocking it out of my mind, seeing all these ex-Niners kill us.
Yeah. About then, I was doing 360s on the ground.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of game it was.
Well,
screaming and yelling and cussing. That's what we do, right? When we're pissed off watching football.
Oh, God, man. Brandon Aiyuk had another good game.
Impressive, yep.
There's definitely some things that he can get better at, but it's pretty impressive. He had a nice 33-yard catch at one point, and then he finishes with 88 yards and a nice touchdown catch, which was cool. And then Ross Dwelly also had a touchdown catch, and that's nice to see, especially now that we know Kittle's going to be out.
Yeah, Aiyuk had some really nice plays. They tried running a reverse with him with Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon, who fumbled the ball, but Aiyuk was able to pick it up off the ground, and he only got about 4 or 5 yards out of it, but it could have easily been a minus 15 play. And then he had a really nice route on that touchdown grab. I was really impressed on how he's able to turn out quickly and really just put the defender completely out of the play. It was one of the best routes he's run all year, and just happy that it looks like he's getting better and better every week, and he's really kind of figuring it out as he goes.
Yeah.
He's easily our best route runner right now.
Yeah. My only gripe would be he needs to work on some of the blocking, on some of the running plays, and then also he gets jammed. I think the scouting report's getting out, and he will get jammed more and more this season. When he gets jammed at the line, you still got to get out there and get your route done. So I think Kyle is going to have to start sending him in motion and stuff like that if they start trying to jam him at the line of scrimmage a lot.
He's not the best blocker, and that's where we really miss Debo. I think Debo, that's one of his biggest, most underrated attributes is how well of a blocker he is. I mean, he's great with the ball. He's a great runner, but he's also a really good blocker. And when our running backs are getting those big gains, a lot of times it's Debo out there either occupying a defensive back or even sometimes pancaking them. And I think that's just one of the more things he brings to the team that we sorely missed this last game.
Yeah, and we didn't get to use Hasty as much as we would have liked. He did have that one fumble. I'm glad they put him back in there and kept giving him the ball, but it was a tough game. And he get a touchdown? He got a touchdown too, right?
Yeah, he squibbed in for a little touchdown run. I think it was about a 2-yard run, where it looks like he had to stretch out his arm, very dangerously stretch out his arm. It looked like he could have fumbled the ball if he wasn't a little more careful, but he was just able to get that outstretched arm over the goal line and gave us the lead for about a half a quarter.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, we had a 1-point lead at one point in that game. So,
and they battled.
Yeah, he didn't have the big impact.
They tried really hard to get back into the game. McKinnon's 2-point conversion made me wish they didn't have replay because it was definitely failed.
It looked good to the naked eye, but when they slow it down, you can clearly see that he was just short.
That would have brought us within one score, right?
Yeah, ball was a little low, but I thought he could have done a little better job of keeping that knee off the ground and outstretching his arms over the end zone. But that would have been big. That would have brought it to a 1-possession game with 5 minutes left. Who knows?
Yeah. It's tough to keep running when you get behind like we have, but that will have to bring us to our next segment, Down in the Trenches with Lucas Ortiz.
Down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Down in the trenches.
When you have the wins that we've had going into this game, man, it was a tough thing to watch. Why don't you break it down for us, Lucas?
Well, Lucas, the tough game started early. It looked like the Seahawks were going to bring pressure, which they're not a huge blitzing team, but from what we've seen most of the year, they're not really getting a ton of pass rush from their down 4. So they started bringing guys like Bobby Wagner on blitzes. I think they brought DJ Reed on a blitz, and it just looked like our team never really got in sync as far as picking up blitzes and knowing who to block. I saw a couple times where Grassu got beat by Wagner and then a defensive lineman on some short yardage plays. McGlinchey, he didn't have a terrible game, but there was a couple of plays where he was a little soft on the edge, and he either let the defensive end get a little too close to Jimmy or to Nick Mullens and either get a hit, or I think he may have given up a sack or two.
Yeah.
It's just overall, we weren't opening up holes for the running backs. I think it was one of the worst running games that we've had this year.
Yeah.
Way too much pressure.
Which is a bummer because they didn't have their so-called 12th man.
Yeah. I mean, you can't make any excuses of not hearing snap count and, being a little slow off the snap. I mean, it was just pure will. The Seahawks implored their will on us, and we just weren't up to the task of blocking them.
Yeah.
So it was very disappointing. It was almost a 9-day performance from last week against the Pats when we were able to run 200 yards and just everything looked in sync. This week, it was the exact opposite. Most guys could say they didn't play their best game and they weren't playing in sync, so to speak, and picking up a lot of those blitzes that the Seahawks were throwing at us.
Yeah, now we got the short turnaround, so we'll have to see how they do on Thursday, and then we'll get back down in the trenches next week.
Put down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Down in the trenches.
So now let's just get into a little bit about the defense. Where do we go from here? Things are in disarray. It was nice to see K'Waun Williams back. I think he had a sack on a blitz. And Verrett, I thought, had a great game. But what's your take of the defense this week?
The defense came out with a lot of energy. I saw a lot of good plays in the beginning. I think the first 2 drives, the Seahawks were 3 and out. And I was texting with you saying, man, like the defense is on point this game. I mean, I think we're really going to win this game. And it just obviously didn't play out that way. But in the beginning, K'Waun had a nice sack. It looked like Jason Verrett had a pretty solid game. I don't remember hearing too much about any receiver getting catches on him, or if they did, they were very short yardage catches.
Yeah, he took Tyler Lockett out of the picture.
Yeah, Lockett had a really quiet game. K'Waun was probably responsible for that, but I think it was mostly Verrett. DJ Moore had a couple nice plays, but I think that was more on the linebackers. It looked like they were short passes that he was able to catch as like a screen and get some yardage after the catch. And he had a couple end arounds that were poorly tackled. That's the biggest thing I took away from this game is how bad we tackled. It looked like a lot of plays could have been stopped for no yardage or very little yardage. And the Seahawks were just able to break 1 or 2 tackles on every single play. It never seems like we could, get that big play to get the defense off the field. So that was the most disappointing thing is just how poorly we tackled. And that's just something we're going to really have to clean up against the Packers.
Okay,
Oh, there it goes again. Here's Pat.
There's that sound. Another edition of Pat's Picks.
And now, from the bar in the big sky, yours truly here, Pat Summerall. I'm here to give you predictions every week here on the Lucas and Lucas, The Stick podcast.
Well, I got all my predictions wrong. I'm going down. I don't know what to do. I got all my predictions wrong last week and I feel terrible. I know C3P, but I can't snap out of it. You might have to make the predictions this week. Well, I know you don't want to, but I need some help and you're a helper-droid, aren't you?
Mr. Summerall, are you feeling okay?
Oh, hi, Lloyd. Well, I'll tell you, Lloyd, I feel awful.
Never heard you play blues guitar before.
Well, I got all my picks wrong, Lloyd, last week, and I just can't do it. I want R3 to do it. I know you don't want to do it. I told you need to do it.
You seem quite down. Maybe I can get you your favorite drink to help cheer you up.
Well, I that's very nice of you, Lloyd, but there's other things bothering me, too. Deep down, I'm a 49er fan. Garoppolo's out, Kittle's out. I'm down to the dumps.
What would you like to drink today?
Well, I guess we can try something like this. Yeah, I'll have the double scotch on the rocks. Okay, and he wants a Guinness.
Double scotch on the rocks it is. And a Guinness for the droid.
Well, thank you kindly, Lloyd. I just still don't think it's going to work. I'm just playing the blues today, and R3 is going to do the picks. Well, you have no choice. You're going to have to help me out, okay? Wow, drinks already. Thank you, Lloyd.
Enjoy. Thanks, Pat.
It's not going to help, though. We'll see. Montana drops back to pass. He's got Rice on the sideline. He's got it in stride. He's at the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Jerry Rice. Touchdown, 49ers. Thank you, Lloyd. I feel great now. Let's do the picks. In my first pick this week, the Denver Broncos will go to Atlanta. The Falcons have had a rough go of it thus far. However, they've got a new coach in Raheem Morris. Look for them to get a win. The final score on that one, the Broncos 28, the Falcons 14. And for my second pick, the Las Vegas Raiders are at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers have blown a lot of second half leads. Well, I think that the Raiders will win this one. And that's what they need to do if they want to become a playoff contender. I don't like them, but I think they'll win. The Las Vegas Raiders take this one. The final score, the Raiders 38, the Chargers 30. And for my third and final pick, the Green Bay Packers are coming to San Francisco to play the 49ers. Well, that one's really been depressing. The Niners have had more injured players than most teams have in 5 seasons. But I still think they'll just reach down and find a way to win. Kyle Shanahan will turn Mullens into a real quarterback. Look for the Niners to get the win at home. The final score, the Packers 27, the 49ers 28. Just by one. That's right, CP. I did get through the picks. With no help to you. I'll at least go get us another round from Lloyd. Yes, I drank it already. Thank you, Lucas and Lucas. I'll try to keep my head up. That was tough. Thank you, Lloyd.
Thanks again, Pat. Just like the 49ers, you had a rough week last one, but let's see if you can turn it around.
Yeah, 0 for 3, man. Depressing, but hopefully he'll do better next week. All right, let's get back in.
It'll be better.
Yeah, some of our more sure tacklers like Greenlaw, he would get there and then just not make the tackle before they got across and move the chains, you know?
Right. Like Alshire missed some tackles. I think even Fred Warner missed some tackles. Mosley had he had one of the worst angles on that touchdown catch and run by DK Metcalf across the field and then up the sideline. And it looked like Mosley, if he would have taken just a better angle route to tackle him, he could have easily have pushed him out of bounds or, kept the game to maybe 10 or 15 yards. But it was just all around a bad tackling game, and angles to the ball were much to be desired. So we got to get better in that.
Now the Ortiz Overachiever, which is a tough one. I know Nick Mullens went 16 for 22 for 228 yards and 2 touchdowns in garbage time. But
you stole my thunder, Lucas. Yeah, I was going to go with Nick Mullens. I mean, although it was in garbage time, although the Seahawks were playing pretty soft, he did come in.
I could have made those throws.
What I liked about it is, remember, this is his first game back after being taken out and benched.
True.
And then not even being put on the active roster the last game. So I like the fact that he had the confidence and almost like a closer who'd blown a save in baseball. Kind of had that closer mentality where it doesn't matter what happened last game, doesn't matter what happened last pitch. You still gotta have that killer mentality. You still gotta be confident and know that you are somebody with the ability to play in the NFL and be a starting quarterback. And I think he still has that.
Very true. And you just brought up a good point. What he did, no one gave up and they played behind him. And that's a good thing because obviously with Garoppolo out, we're going to need that on Thursday. And so I think that like you just said, it's a great confidence builder for him to have gone in there and, kept it competitive.
No one gives up on this team. Everybody has a pretty good attitude as far as how they react when the team gets down in the game. I don't think anybody ever gives up. Now, they might make some bad plays, via missing a tackle or bad angle, but it's never a hustle issue or a lack of desire. I think everybody was pretty good in that aspect of just, still trying to have a positive effect and still playing every down like it might be their last. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest things I love about this team is they never give up. They have a ton of heart. And I really think that's going to help us. I think we're still going to have a winning record when it's all said and done. is it going to be enough to get into the playoffs is the big question.
Yeah.
Is an 8-8 record going to be enough, or is a 9-7 record going to be enough to get into the playoffs this year? And we'll have to see. But don't forget, there's one extra playoff spot this year, so anything can happen.
True. Well, congratulations to Nick Mullens for being this week's tough to find overachiever. Okay, so we need to talk about keys to this Thursday night primetime matchup against Green Bay, which is not going to be easy. And man, the list of injuries on this team, I have never seen one so extensive, and especially with so many important key players. I know we've already talked about that, but it's been a really tough one, and we just hope that some guys start to come back. Like, I thought Sherman would be back by now, but Lucas, why don't you start? What are the keys to the game if we're going to be competitive and actually beat Green Bay this week?
So I have an interesting angle on this game. I think the fact that we're playing on Thursday and there's a very, very quick turnaround to this game, I think it's an advantage for a team coming off a loss, because you want to get that taste of the loss out of your mouth as quickly as possible.
True.
And I think this is the best possible scenario for the team. You know, they're probably not going to really study too much of this last game's tape. It's really just get the plays in for the game plan in for the Packer game.
Yeah.
Probably have 1 day of rest, one good day of practice, and then play. And, you know, really just try to gut out a victory against Aaron Rodgers and the Pack. I think the biggest thing they need to do is cover Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
He's their DK Metcalf. He's the guy that can destroy the game for the 49ers. And I think if Verrett is on him most of the game, I think we have a pretty solid chance of winning and shutting him down. The other thing is we got to get back to running the ball. I mean, the offensive line, I don't care who the quarterback is, that has nothing to do with how well you open up holes for the running backs or the wide receivers on end arounds and jet sweeps. You got to make it happen for the team. The team lives or dies with the offensive line. And if we run the ball, if we get over 100 yards, I think we have a really good opportunity to have another win against the Packs. You got to remember, I think we're 3-0 in our last three against the Packers. So,
and I should know this already, but where are they playing? Is it in Lambeau or here?
Oh, it's here. Yeah,
okay.
It's a home game.
That helps us a little. I mean, yeah, I agree with you.
Probably tired of having to come to Santa Clara to play us. I think they've had to play us in our stadium the last 3 times, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's true.
I know they definitely played us in the NFC Championship game, and they played us last year in December
on that Monday night game in November.
Yeah, not quite sure where the previous game was, but I think we're in their head. I think there's something about that matchup that kind of leans our way.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm thinking, I hope the pass rush, like you were saying, I mean, we need to make sure that we're getting some real nice schemes with blitzes that Rodgers doesn't see. And, just like we've played him in the past, hopefully you're right. We're that monkey on his back. And even with all the backup players, we'll still get a victory. It's going to be tough. And some guys are probably hurting right now. It's been a tough go at it. And, after a big loss, though, like you just said, we've got to get that taste out of our mouth. And what better to do it at home against Green Bay? So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that we sack Rodgers and frustrate him a lot, and that Mullens can pull one out of his hat again. And Aiyuk will continue to grow, and hopefully, right now, especially with Debo out, I mean, he's clearly our number one receiver. So I'm hoping he ends up getting a couple of touchdowns, and I'd like to see Ross Dwelly really fill in for Kittle and get a nice stat sheet at the end of the game, and Niners get a victory. What's your final score on that one, Lucas? I don't think you gave us a final score.
I did not give you a final score. So I'm going to say the Niners come back, have a nice bounce back game, and beat the Packers 26-19. I don't think the Packers are going to have a good offensive game again. I think we're going to give them fits. I think we're going to get to Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against us. Look for the Niners to have a big defensive play, something like an interception or a pick six, something like that. I really do think the defense is going to respond and have to be the winners of the game, so to speak. Nice. So what do you think the score is going to be this game?
I'm going to go with 38-35 Niners.
Okay.
And I'm going to say at some point in this game, there's going to be a punt return by the Niners, who I'm not sure who's going to be doing it, but someone's going to return a punt for a touchdown. And we're going to get lucky and get 3 turnovers, which will be the key to the victory. And Mullens will lead us with a couple of touchdown passes. And so let's see how it goes. But I'm hoping these guys can respond. It's not going to be easy, but go Niners. I hope that we win the game, obviously.
Yeah, I like it. So bet the over is what you're saying.
Yeah. Tons of points in this.
All right. Hey, man, however they win, I'll take a win any way it comes. I don't care if it's 6-3. As long as they win, that is the most important thing. We got to get back in the win column. Got to get back to over 500, and we'll see how it goes. Thursday night, primetime, buddy.
Yeah. Let's hope that Kyle Shanahan has a better game plan this time for the Packers than he did on Sunday against Seattle. So great talking with you, Lucas. Have a great rest of your week, and then I'll be talking to you soon. Go Niners.
Go Niners, Lucas.
All right, man. Take care.